Hi everyone. So I had initially had a really nice PowerPoint for this, but for some reason my computer won't record audio. So even on Zoom, I wasn't able to record audio over the PowerPoint. So I'll just discuss, my ethics presentation. So I apologize for not having that PowerPoint for you guys. So the ethical dilemma that I came up with is really kind of interesting and something that I had never really experienced before. And it kind of happened with multiple clients kind of at once, sort of. So what that is clients telling you they love you. Not in a romantic type sense. I really believe this is more like, like they're appreciative of you and they feel a bond with you, with me in this instance. And, that's how they express that. So it's kind of, a really delicate situation because obviously you don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want them to feel like that you don't value them. You want them to want to make sure that they feel important, that they matter to you. But what does the code of ethics say about clients telling you that they love you and expressing any kind of affection verbally, with clients? It talks a lot about value and worth of a person, and we want to make sure that we are recognizing that value and worth of that person and making sure that they feel valued and feel worthy. We kind of have to approach this delicately, and I discussed this at length with my field supervisor, and it's something that she has seen, with other people in the field, specifically in our agency, and I really think that this comes down to almost a cultural thing. Because we find that through addiction and through the circles of Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous, has its own kind of microculture, with its own norms, its own things that are acceptable and unacceptable. And one thing that's a very common theme in this culture, is that people are very expressive of their affection for one another, even just a friendship type affection. You often see, friends telling friends that they love them and they support them, which is awesome. That's really great. But something else that I find that's very common in that kind of microculture is that there's kind of a lack of boundaries. And so we see that a lot in our practice, and this is especially so even with clients who are coming from active addiction, who have not had much experience with NA or AA. They just lack boundaries in general. I have clients that have had clients in the past that want to hug me and and things like that. And to be clear, I never seek out physical contact with clients, but I also don't refuse a hug from a client. This is something that I had spoken to my clinical supervisor about this, early on in my career as a chemical dependency counselor. What do I do? And it was just kind of like, how would it make the client feel if you refused that hug? Probably would make them feel rejected, might make them feel like they're not important to you. So, I will accept a hug. I don't seek them out, but if a client wishes to give a hug, I will accept it. But back more to the point, I had an experience not too long ago with a client leaving my office. And this is a client that I've been working with since probably January And she has gone through the inpatient program and is now in the outpatient program. So I see her once a week for 45 minutes for each session. And she has gotten to where now she tells me she loves me as she's leaving my office every week. And I didn't know how to take this. I didn't know how to handle this because, I strongly believe that this is just on her part, wanting to express her appreciation, for the work we've done and for me. And she probably does feel some kind of a connection. There's probably some transference there. And, I want to recognize that, and I want her to feel valued and feel important, but it also, for me, feels awkward. Because, and again, this may just be me personally, I just don't feel comfortable telling people I'm not very close to that I love them. So I discussed this at length with my field supervisor, and this is kind of like the hug thing, what do you do? Obviously you don't want the client to feel rejected or feel like they're not important to you. So we decided that probably the best thing to do is to just say thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that. It acknowledges that their gesture is important to you, or to me, acknowledges that gesture is important to me, and lets them know that I appreciate it and I appreciate them, but also does not put me in a position to, A, for me to feel uncomfortable, but B, and more importantly, does not put me in a position to be, overstepping important boundaries, within social work practice. That was kind of the best solution that we could come up with, that kind of meets the client's need, but also, stays within the realm of what's appropriate. And, I've noticed in my practice, I have many coworkers, and some of them return that gesture and say, oh, I love you too. Or, they give hugs to their clients and things like that. And to me seems inappropriate or feels inappropriate to me. But, that's not me. That's not my clinical license on the line. That's not, me opening the door for a complaint. And that's something for their clinical supervisor to address with them. So I try to just maintain those boundaries, express my gratitude when a client expresses to me that they care for me. Let them know that I appreciate it and I appreciate them. And there are other ways, I think, like my field instructor and I discussed, there are other ways that we can kind of express our appreciation for the client, and help them to feel valued, without, crossing that line of boundaries. For example, using positive affirmations is something that I do with clients a lot, and, let them know that, the work they're doing is evident and they're doing a great job. Just those kinds of positive affirmations can really go a long way to helping the client feel like they're making progress, but also that you notice that progress, and again, that, they are important to you. So that's kind of my solution to this kind of ethical dilemma. It's a little bit strange, I think. It's not something that I've read about, and in kind of looking through the website for violations in New York, there wasn't anything that specifically addressed, clients or social workers saying, I love you. Mostly there were a lot of violations for inappropriate relationships, inappropriate sexual relationships, and, crossing boundaries and things like that, but nothing quite so specific, nothing exactly like what I've been experiencing. So it's definitely something I think is, that's something that I think I'll experience again and continue to experience. And I think, again, like I said, this is really just, it's a lack of boundaries, on the part of clients. That kind of microculture in the aspect of active addiction, and the boundaries or lack thereof that they have while in active addiction, combined with that kind of microculture you get within NA and AA, They genuinely just don't see that as inappropriate. They feel, and we tell them, you know, it's important to express your emotions. It's important to acknowledge your emotions. You know, so my field instructor and I just kind of came to the conclusion that it would do more harm than good more harm than good to tell them they can't say that, or address it, you know, and simply say something like, thank you, that means a lot to me, thank you, I appreciate that. So that way we're not crossing a boundary, but we're also acknowledging their gesture. So that's it, guys. That was my ethical dilemma, and I look forward to seeing some of what you guys came up with. Thanks.